Crouse.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
You're working in this film with, you've just come off making The Watchmen. And then on this film, you know, you're working with a lot of kind of guys who I have the impression do a lot of improv, and it's sort of a much looser kind of set, I would imagine, than Watchmen was. Tell me a little bit about working with them and trying to, you know, work in an atmosphere where it looked to me like almost anything could happen.
Yes, anything could happen, including swimming with sharks. But it was great. You know, funnily enough, we did a lot of the improv happened before we even started shooting. We did a lot of rehearsal, as far as just sort of, it was really cool because you would think that maybe you come into this crowd of guys and it's sort of the boys club, the boys who've been together for years. But they were so open and super collaborative. So Vince and I actually had like a powwow session of maybe that went on for 6 hours, going through every single scene, improvising every scene and just seeing what felt right and what was real. And so a lot of that happened before we even started shooting, and they're actually pretty big on doing the scene as it's written and then having some fun with it. And of course, once they go off, I mean, you're sitting there and it feels like you're watching a movie. You know, every now and then I'd have to pinch myself and go, oh yeah, this is my line. But it was awesome. It was amazing to, of course, it was a nice change to go from something really dark and heavy and amazing to something light in Vancouver. I mean, and in Bora Bora instead of Vancouver in the winter, you know. It was also the complete opposite. But yeah. Yeah,
shooting in Bora Bora, there's maybe, one other movie that's ever been shot there? So there's no, I guess, infrastructure for films to be made there. Were there challenges involved in shooting there?
I think more so technically, you know, for the electric department, they had some trouble finding outlets. You know, that was definitely a difficult task for them, and it was extremely hot. Again, for them, it's really hard to work in that kind of heat. So for us, you know, we're so well taken care of. There were fans everywhere, and you know, you can't complain when you're in Bora Bora. You're in paradise shooting, and at the end of the day, which usually we ended at like 6 or 7 at a decent hour, you sit and watch the sunset on your balcony, go for a swim. It's like, really? That's work, you know?
Someone squeezing you juice.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Or pouring some wine, you know, one or the other.
Now, tell me a little bit about creating the dynamic between the two of you. You play people that have been married for a while. Yes. And so you said you sat and you went through every scene in the film for 6 hours with Vince Vaughn. But tell me a little bit about, do you create like a backstory for yourself? Or is that necessary? Or is it all just sort of on the page for you already?
It depends from one character to the next. You know, I think this one, it was all sort of written in on the page, you know. She's not a super complex character as far as what you see on screen. You know, it's more about the relationship than her as a character. So for me, this one was the only thing that I had to wrap my head around was being a mother, you know, and I sort of had to find somewhere to relate to that, and that was more being the oldest sister we're 4 siblings. Right. So I just kind of tried to
changed a diaper or two, probably.
Quite a few, which now I'm happy about. But back then, you know, I was cursing the whole way. But yeah, no, of course. I mean, there is prep that goes into it. Again, I think a lot of it was just based more on creating a relationship with Vince and making that a reality, and that happened through doing a lot of improv and going through all the scenes, and so that was more the prep work for this one. Whereas something like The Watchmen is very much about reading the novel several times and really figuring out. She was much more of a complex person. You know, she's sort of a sheltered woman, but at the same time is this really tough girl. So that was a really fun one to create or to sort of delve into.
Well, I think also people were watching those movies differently.
Yes.
You know, and
absolutely.
I know that when you were in town, when the weekend the Watchmen opened, I introduced you in front of this crowd of, 700 people or something. And I don't know if you remember this, but as we walked into the auditorium, I don't know, where you were taking photos somewhere or something, I didn't see the crowd going in, right? I didn't see who it was made up of. So as we walk in, there were like 700 17-year-old boys And I just saw this look on their faces like, oh my God, it's a girl and she's a superhero. And I felt like I was kind of throwing meat at lions or something.
Exactly. It's awesome because it's one of those things where it's so much fun when there is a fan base already, and they're my favorite, and they're the cutest, and these boys will come up and they can barely get a sentence out, and I just kind of want to look at them and go, hey guys, I'm not really Silk Spectre. It's just a character that I played, but then again, you don't want to burst that bubble either. So, but it's so much fun. I loved that. I mean, they're the most enthusiastic crowd that you could ever get, and that's what you want for a film.
Yeah, and they've really stayed with the movie too.
Yeah, which is what Zach did. He did that film for the fans. It wasn't for a commercial purpose whatsoever. I mean, if you weren't familiar with the novel, you might not like the film at all. But the fans, luckily, really loved it, and that was our target audience. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Vince Vaughn a little bit. He's an intimidating guy on some levels. Did you know him beforehand or no?
I did not. I knew of him, of course, and I'd seen several of his films. But yeah, I mean, not only is he tall,
he's big.
He's also just a big presence. Absolutely.
Well, he feels like he fills the room.
Definitely. And amazingly so. Like, I mean, he's one of the smartest men that I've ever met. He's a walking encyclopedia. You ask him any question, and he knows the background, he knows the history. I mean, it's incredible. He's super intriguing. So, of course, yeah, I mean, that definitely can be intimidating. Not just that, but that he's such a fabulous comedian, and he's super quick and witty, and you can't pull one over his head. It's just like... He's way too quick for anybody. So don't even try to maybe Jon Favreau and him are at the same level. Right. You know what I mean? Those are the only two that kind of can outwit each other. But yeah, he's amazing. I really enjoyed my time working with him, and you learn so much when you get to work with guys like Vince Vaughn or Ben Stiller and the likes of them.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, someone like Jon Favreau, I think the differences that I see in his performances now, that he is sort of splitting his time between directing and acting, is that he seems to be just really having fun now in a way that maybe he didn't before, because he has this, acting is almost like a secondary career that he can only do when he kind of feels like doing it.
Yeah, totally. No, I think he really enjoyed his time on this one, and he got to relax, and they kind of switch roles, Vince and John, in this one. Usually it's the opposite, where Vince plays sort of the cheater and so it was fun. I think John really enjoyed that experience, although he was swamped because they were prepping for Iron Man 2 at the same time, so he had a lot on his plate. Yeah.
Richard Crouse.